Joining us now with more about his letter to President Trump, ranking member, House Intel Committee, Congressman Devin Nunes. Congressman, let's talk about the letter. And is there any possibility in your mind, and if so, how strong, that there might have been people in our intelligence community, not rank and file, that perhaps outsourced what would be illegal intelligence gathering to our allies, random countries like Great Britain, Australia, maybe Italy?
Well, I think we can be sure about one thing, and that is that on foreign soil, someone was running operations against Trump campaign people. Now, we don't know if that was our government, if it was the British government, or if it was some type of firm of some kind that was doing it. But I think it is definitely a fact, Sean, that at least on British soil, possibly on Italian soil, there were activities going on that we need to get to the bottom of. And look, it's been very frustrating because we've been asking these questions and we're not getting them from places like the FBI. So as you probably know, the president is getting ready to head to London here in a couple weeks to spend time with the Queen. I've spent a lot of time with the intelligence officials from the UK. And so, look, I think we need to get some answers here.
Congressman, we now know, and it's getting deeper every day, we know that in closed-door testimony, Bruce Orr warned everybody in August of 2016 about the dossier being unverified, about Hillary paying for it, about STEELE hating Donald Trump. We also know 10 days before the first FISA application was filed, signed by Jim Comey, that in fact upper echelon, again, not rank and file, FBI people, they were all warned, Department of Justice people warned that, in fact, STEELE had a political agenda. He had an election day deadline. Now we also know that, in fact, spies were sent in vis-a-vis Stefan Halper for Carter Page, Papadopoulos, Sam Clovis, on top of the spying, basically through the FISA warrant into all things Trump. What else are we going to find out?
Well, I know this much about Christopher Steele and that and his dossier. I've read plenty of intelligence reports. I've met with plenty of British officials that are in intelligence, not only in the UK, but here and abroad. They've been very valuable allies to us. They're not idiots, Sean. There is no possible way that British intelligence folks read the Christopher Steele dossier and didn't just laugh. Okay, so I actually believe that Mueller knows that the Mueller dossier team knew that the Brits actually, I think, did give us some warning. But we can't get that information. I think there are things that Mueller knew about. I think the Brits probably did raise concerns about Steele's credibility to the new administration. But of course, we can't get those documents, and it's what we continue to try to get. And I think hopefully it's what the U.S. Attorney out of Connecticut is going to get to the bottom of.
Is this a true statement that with all the warnings ahead of time, that the FISA applications with your memo, Grassley-Graham memo, bulk of information, unverified, Clinton bought and paid for, they lied by omission, and they lied straight up saying it was verified, but we know it's an unverifiable document. Now we know Steele doesn't stand behind it, that this was a premeditated conspiracy to commit fraud on a FISA court. Do you believe that, as I do?
Well, we made a criminal referral that there was a conspiracy to fraud the FISA court. We also made one that there was also a conspiracy to manipulate intelligence. You had on John Solomon earlier. He has filed a request with the court. The easiest way to clean this up and the quickest way would be for the FISA court itself, for the FISC, the secret court, to come out and take action against all of these top-level people at the Department of Justice and the FBI who fraudulently produced information to the court. Because if not, if the court doesn't do this, we're going to run through all this between the IG and the U.S. Attorney, the work that we continue to have to do. And look, at the end of the day, it's not going to be believable that we should have a secret court in this country if they can't take action to enforce people that deliberately lie to them.
Do you believe Robert Mueller has something to answer for when it comes to when did he know that there was no collusion? A, B, If you have time for old tax returns, loan applications, and taxi medallions, and morning raids with guns drawn at 4 a.m. with unarmed people and 30 people doing it, and he didn't get to the dossier that literally the New York Times is suggesting
he knew
is
the day
Russian
he walked in the
disinformation.
door.
Yeah.
He knew the day he walked in the door that there was no evidence of collusion. But the Mueller dossier, as we've talked about in the last few weeks here, if people actually read it closely, they're going to find this is an absolute joke. He made up most of the information in his report based off of news stories. So you had circular reporting where you would have leaks from the Clinton campaign, leaks from FBI, runs in a news story. And lo and behold, after $40 million, what do we have? We have those news stories regurgitated to the American public.
Your 5 buckets are revealed. What will the average American think?
Well, I think they will say that someone needs to be held accountable for their actions. And no American would want to be treated the way that many Americans were treated in this country, especially the President of the United States.
Devin Nunes, Congressman, California, thank you.
All right, New York Democratic Congressman Max Rose was among those in that caucus meeting today with Nancy Pelosi, from which she came out to soon say that the president was involved in a cover-up. It had been for a while. The congressman is good enough to join us right now from Washington. Thank you, sir.
Neil, it's good to see you again.
Same here. Could you describe what that meeting was like? What was she learning? Were you guys learning?
Sure.
What was the temperament of it?
Yeah, so part of the problem with Washington, D.C. and generally Congress is that caucus meetings leak like a sieve. So why don't we take a step back and talk about this larger issue? Because I think that we are engaged here in this very odd impeachment game of chicken where nobody is doing, I think, we have to act accordingly, okay? The president has got to respect Congress. It's very, very important here. Congress is seeking documents, and the president should respect Congress's authority. At the same hand, though, it's Congress's responsibility to act responsibly. I believe, for the most part, it's been doing that. We can't forget why Republicans lost the House in 2018. They lost the House because the American people made the determination that Congress was not acting in their interest.
All right, I'm sorry, sir. I really want to know what happened at the meeting. I assume that was the sentiment that was revealed, and I'm wondering why it would be that Nancy Pelosi would leave, making the cover-up comment she did. Was there something that was revealed that gave her the ammunition to say what she did?
No, I can't. I'm not here to speak for Nancy Pelosi, but what I am here to say,
do you know where she got that information?
No. Again, no. And we
do
could
you
we
think
could do
he
this,
covered up anything? I'm just curious.
My friend, we could, Neil. It's like you're auditioning to be on court TV. Okay, what I am talking about here.
I'm just auditioning for an answer, sir.
No.
I'm curious. Did you hear anything, or do you know of anything that makes you think that the president is covering up something?
No. Here's what I do know for a fact. Okay, is that the president is not respecting Congress's authority and position. But I also did not come down to Washington, D.C. to do this type of talk, okay? I didn't come here to engage in, with a partisan pitchfork. What I did come here to do, though, is to work on infrastructure, to work on healthcare, to work on anti-corruption. I certainly did not respect the president having a temper tantrum when he was discussing infrastructure today. That's the biggest deal. But
would you think differently of going into a discussion, whatever your views of the president, sir, if right beforehand he hears that the Speaker of the House is saying he's covering up something, as you know, that's an impeachable offense, right? That's a high crime and misdemeanor.
Neil, stop. The president is a New Yorker, okay? He cannot have such thin skin. I got people out in Staten Island who have 2-hour commutes. South Brooklyn, 2-hour commutes. The American people need us to get down to business. The president should not have walked out like that. But there was a moment of optimism today. I went to and did a speech with Concerned Veterans of America, a Republican organization, talking about repealing the AUMF, repealing and replacing it. There is so much hope and possibility in this. The authorization for the use of military force passed in 2001 that has been the principal means how we have legitimized over, offensive military action.
All right, so you're convinced that cooler heads will prevail and you guys will both get back to talking to each other.
Absolutely.
But you can understand if the President of the United States is hearing that it's a foregone conclusion that he is covering something up, that's impeachment.
Neil, the president has two choices. He can either tell everyone still that he's a New Yorker, or he can have temper tantrums. Okay, the guy's a New Yorker. He needs to have thicker skin. Let's get back to doing the business of the American people. All right, Neil?
All right. This was a nice court TV session. I appreciate that. Congressman, be well. Thank you, sir.
Neil, it's good to see you.
All right.